Wealthy people are not smarter than you. They are not luckier in most cases, and they are definitely not more disciplined at 6 a.m. What they have is different information. Same paycheck, same bills, same temptations. They just refuse to look away from 8 specific numbers. Here they are, cheapest fix first, and the last one changes how you read the other 7. They don't budget the month. They budget the paycheck. Every budgeting app on your phone resets on the 1st. Your income does not care about the 1st. If payday is the 27th, your month starts 11 days before the calendar's does, and every app you've ever used has been lying to you about which bucket your money belongs in. Here's what you actually do. You get paid on the 27th, spend freely through the first week because it's early in the month, and by the 24th, you're eating rice and telling yourself it's a lifestyle choice. You're not overspending. You're mistiming. Think of it like a factory that reports profit on the calendar quarter instead of its own production cycle. Same output, wrong report, wrong conclusions every time. Here's the part nobody mentions. Your pay cycle and the calendar month agree, maybe 3 times a year. The other 9, you're budgeting against a container that doesn't match your actual cash flow, and then blaming yourself for the gap. Protocol. This week, write down your actual pay date and count 30 days forward from it. That's your real month. Budget inside that window, not January 1st to January 31st. The difference? The paycheck, not the calendar. They don't track food. They track the leak inside it. Food, $640, tells you nothing. It's not a category, it's a shrug with a dollar sign on it. You look at that number every month, feel a low-grade guilt, and change nothing. Because $640 isn't a decision, it's a fog. You can't fix a fog. You can fix a decision. Split it and the fog lifts. $180 groceries, $310 restaurants, $150 delivery apps. Now you're not looking at food, you're looking at 3 completely different behaviors: provisioning, socializing, and convenience buying at a markup. One of those 3 is almost always the actual problem, and it's rarely the one you assumed. Here's the turn. Most people swear off eating out and leave delivery apps completely untouched because in their head, those are the same category. They're not. Restaurants are a choice you make standing up, looking at a menu. Delivery is a choice you make lying down at 11 p.m., paying a $6 fee to avoid putting on shoes. Different trigger, different fix. Protocol. Split your biggest vague category into 3 subcategories this week. Not 10, 3. Look at which one is actually driving the number. The difference? The subcategory, not the category. They don't check their balance. They check their confirmed balance. Your banking app shows you a number. That number includes the coffee you bought an hour ago that hasn't posted, the subscription that renews Thursday, and the rent that comes out on the 1st, none of which the app is warning you about. You glance at your balance, see 4 digits, and mentally file it under fine. That number was never a fact. It was an estimate wearing a fact's clothes. Here's the mechanic. A number becomes real the moment every known upcoming charge is subtracted from it. $2,400 in the account minus $1,400 in rent minus $85 in subscriptions minus the $60 you know is coming for gas isn't $2,400. It's $855. Everything above that isn't yours yet. It's just sitting there, unclaimed, waiting to disappear the moment its bill lands. Now flip it. The danger isn't a low balance. It's a balance that looks high because nothing's been subtracted yet. That's the one that gets spent by accident. Protocol: before you make any purchase over $50 this week, subtract everything you know is coming out before your next payday. Then, look at what's left. The difference? The confirmed number, not the displayed one. They don't cancel subscriptions. They add them up first. It's only $12.99 a month is the most expensive sentence in personal finance because it's designed to be evaluated once and forgotten forever. You look at each subscription in isolation. The streaming service, the app, the box that shows up with snacks in it, and every single one clears the bar of worth it on its own. Nobody ever asks the only question that matters: worth it compared to what, and worth it for how long? Here's the number that changes the conversation. $12.99 a month feels like nothing. Multiplied by the 34 months you've actually had it, because you signed up during a slow week 2.5 years ago, that's $441.66 for a service you can't remember opening this month. This is the same problem as the balance you don't confirm. Both are cases where the real number is hiding behind a smaller, friendlier one you were shown instead. Here's the turn. You don't have a subscription problem. You have a subscription math problem. Nobody's ever shown you the running total since day one, only the monthly one, on purpose. Protocol: list every subscription you have and how many months you've had it. Then multiply. Don't cancel yet. Just look at the real number. The difference: the total since day one, not the monthly charge. They don't chase their income. They chase what's left of it. A $180,000 salary and a $60,000 salary can produce the exact same amount of actual wealth. Sometimes the $60,000 salary wins. Income is not the scoreboard. It never was. You get a raise, and within about 6 weeks, your spending has quietly absorbed most of it. A better car, a nicer apartment, dinners that used to be occasions and are now just Tuesday. Nobody decided this. It just happened, the way water finds the lowest point in a room. Here's the mechanic. Net worth is the only number that can't lie to you the way income can. Someone earning $180,000 with $170,000 of lifestyle attached to it is standing still. Someone earning $60,000 with $15,000 of lifestyle attached to it is moving. Same year, opposite direction, and the pay stub tells you nothing about which one you are. Now flip it. The person who looks poorer on paper, smaller apartment, older car, is very often the one actually building something, because the number they're tracking isn't the one everyone else is showing off. Protocol: this week, write down what's left after every bill, subscription, and discretionary dollar clears. That number, not your salary, is your actual scoreboard. The difference: what's left, not what came in. They don't carry debt. They carry a deadline. Debt without a date attached to it isn't a plan. It's a weight you've agreed to hold indefinitely, and indefinitely is doing a lot of quiet damage to how you think about money. You make the minimum payment, watch the balance barely move, and stop looking closely, because looking closely just confirms what you already suspect, that this could go on forever. So you stop checking. The debt becomes background noise instead of a project with an end. Here's the number. Carrying high-interest debt at 20% APR means your money is shrinking at roughly the same rate that made some of the best investors in history rich. Same percentage, opposite direction. That's not a metaphor. That's the math working against you instead of for you. This is exactly the problem I built MoneyFlow to solve. You log the balance and the rate once. and it hands you back an actual payoff date instead of a vague sense of dread. Links in the description if you want to see your own. Here's the turn. A date changes the debt from a mood into a countdown. Moods you avoid. Countdowns you can beat. Protocol. Find your highest interest balance this week and calculate the date it's actually gone at your current payment. Not the feeling, the date. The difference. The payoff date, not the balance. They don't watch the market. They watch the gap. Nobody needs to predict the market to build wealth in it. They need to watch one number, the gap between what they put in and what it's become. And almost nobody tracks that number on purpose. You check your portfolio, see a percentage that's up or down for the day, feel a small jolt either way, and close the app. That daily number was never the point. It's noise, dressed up as information. Here's the mechanic, with a plain example. Say you've put in $10,000 over 3 years, and it's now worth $14,000. That $4,000 gap is the only number that tells you the account is doing its job. The day-to-day wiggle around $14,000 tells you nothing except that markets move, which you already knew. This is the same mistake as the income one from earlier, chasing a flashy, volatile figure instead of the quiet one underneath that's actually accumulating. Contribution versus current value is the net worth of a single account. Here's the turn. The people who stay invested longest are usually the ones who stopped watching the daily number and started watching the gap instead. Boredom is a strategy here, not a failure. Protocol. Find what you've actually put into any investment account and compare it to what it's worth today. Just the gap, nothing else. The difference? The gap, not the daily swing. They don't grind in silence. They keep score. Every rule so far assumes the hard part is knowing what to do. It isn't. The hard part is doing it again next Tuesday, when nothing's on fire and nobody's watching. You start strong. A new budget, a real payoff date, subcategories, all of it. And by week 3, the motivation that got you here has evaporated, because tracking money with no feedback loop feels exactly like doing homework nobody grades. So you stop. Not from failure, from boredom. Here's the mechanic. Every system that gets people to stick with something boring, fitness apps, language apps, even video games, uses the same trick. A visible number that moves when you do the work. Not motivation. Feedback. Your brain doesn't need to feel inspired, it needs to see the score change. Now flip the whole list you just watched. None of the first 7 rules survive a month without something making them feel like progress instead of chores. That's not a willpower problem, that's a design problem. And it's fixable the same way a game designer fixes it, with a scoreboard, not a lecture. Protocol. However you track your money, make sure something in it moves and changes when you actually log something. If nothing visibly changes, you'll stop. Everyone does. The difference. The score, not the sentence. 8 things in order. The paycheck over the calendar. The subcategory over the category. The confirmed balance over the displayed one. The total over the monthly charge. What's left over what came in. The payoff date over the balance. The gap over the daily swing. And the score over the sentence. None of it is complicated. All of it requires you to actually look. Moneyflow logs all 8 of these in about 2 taps and turns them into a score you can watch move. Links below if you want to see yours. Wealthy isn't a personality. It's a set of numbers most people never bother to check.